Circa November 2024, I would find something I'd never seen before. A unique piece of film I'd label as peak cinema. This artwork inspired me. It motivated me to push my skills and learning, helped me express my imagination, and led to me creating my own story. Created by Liam Vickers and produced by Glitch Productions. This show is Murder Drones. Yeah, that's right. This show with barely sentient toasters, high amounts of edge levels, angsty drones, plot twists, eldritch horrors, freaking ninja stars, and dare I say, quirky robots, has managed to inspire me to sell my soul to the Blender cult of murder drones, recreations, AUs, and OCs. I started getting into Blender around November after I binged all 8 of the episodes in the same day, not knowing about murder drones beforehand, and then I saw there was not going to be a season 2. So I was like, fine, I'll do it myself. Knowing that, they made it in Unreal and using Maya, so I might have a chance here. Well, I'm one person with almost no skills or past experience, so that was a foolish idea right there, because one person versus 50 is a big difference. But long story short, I dumped about 100 hours into Blender just trying to recreate a worker drone. And I also found this YouTuber right here, Roy178. We're pretty good buds now with modeling in Blender, but I stopped about 2 weeks in, and that's because school forced my hand. Dual enrollment statistics and dual enrollment calculus were not really nice, especially when you have them the same trimester. But yeah, that was not a good idea. I lost motivation very quickly, and I would suggest not burning yourself out in 2 weeks and 100 hours. But now back in December, just a month really after I had done that, I started coming up with this idea of a corporation that rivals JC Jensen, Imus Industries. But I didn't have any specifics, it was rough around the edges, and if you compared the plot holes to a block of Swiss cheese, you'd probably find no difference. But time skips 7 or so months later, and I'm back into Blender, I'm motivated, I now have made a plotline for Imus Industries, but I also have about 9 usable days, until I leave to Ohio for 2 years. That's right, guys. I'm going to Ohio. It's pretty comedic. But I am not here to talk about that, though. I am here to explain Imus Industries. I've tried explaining this to some of my friends, and if you know me, I go on side tangents more than I had to use them in my trigonometry class. See what I mean? But anyways, I'll try my best to make this organized and make sense. Here's the first topic. Imus Industries needs to fit into the Murder Drones universe. I don't want to make an alternate universe or headcanon. I don't even know the terminology that would be used, but this is going to fit into the Murder Drones universe, and it could be canon in the Murder Drones universe. So, to begin, I started looking for holes or things I could use. Now, the first thing, we only see Copper 9 and Earth, and we know for certain that the Plat Binary and Proxima Centauri are taken out. But we hear absolutely nothing about the other systems. But before I even get to the crazy theories on where those star systems are, we need to talk about our own solar system. Now, for those of you who don't know a single thing about astronomy, we have 8 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Plus, you can talk about the asteroid belt, the Kuiper belt, all those moons, every rogue asteroid, Pluto, which is in the Kuiper belt, and the Oort cloud. So yeah, there is a lot in the solar system. So I use this fact. Imus Industries focused on precision mining and getting those rare resources like helium-3, platinum, gold, and any other rare metal, and also focused on making metallic hydrogen. I'll talk about that more later. While JC Jensen focused on bulk mining, like iron, copper, get it, copper 9, which is best done on exoplanets. Now back to the other star systems. It's unclear if the other star systems are canonically in our universe, but I like to think of Copper 9 as Bernard's star, Proxima Centauri is, well, Proxima Centauri, and the binary is likely a platinum production area in Alpha and Beta Centauri. We don't know what the other systems are because they never show their names, but I assume they are likely Wolf 359 and Gilly 65. Now this is where Imus comes in. Imus is an isolationist corporation that built bases in the Jovian and other gas systems. This made them less vulnerable to physical attacks from Sin because they were far from other humans who might have infected their software and thus their hardware. They also expanded to other star systems like JC Jensen, but they didn't build their bases only on exoplanets. They still had some influences on large celestial bodies, but they typically focused on megastructures within outer space. JC Jensen isn't a total monopoly. It says so right here. Client reasons for worker drone unit disassembly and disposal. 53% are from unit damage, 27% are from upgrading the model, 11% are from terminating operations, 7% are from competitor products. Right there, competitor products. There's competition. And 2% are from core failsafe trips. So basically, 7% of customers kill their worker drone units because they are switching to a competitor's product. Which it's plain and simple. There are other companies besides JC Jensen. Unless that's somehow human labor? Yeah, I'm going with my idea in Imus Industries and other companies. Okay, so Imus Industries can exist now, right? But how are they supposed to survive Sin's onslaught? I did talk about them being more scattered around, but wouldn't they make the same mistakes? Well, actually, yes. But first, let me talk about JC Jensen and most of humanity at this point. Most humans disregard worker drones as nothing but tools, and when they're in inconvenience, they just throw them away.
Were you programmed by beasts?
But Imus Industries started to take a different route because they couldn't just throw away their tools. They're scattered around, they have quality drones, and isn't it a good idea to take care of your tools anyways? Imus Industries is more resourceful than the other hubristic humans. They had to be, or their business model would have failed. You have to take care of your products when you're far away from any production plant or repair bay. Consumerism just couldn't be applied here. It's just too expensive to be rash. I apologize. I've been talking about why Imus Industries can exist and some other facts about murder drones. I think it's time I talk about Imus Industries itself. Murder drones has some underlying themes: identity and self-awareness, free will, hubris, dystopia, consumerism, just to name a few I've identified. There are a lot more, but I'm going to just use these for now. Imus Industries will have those similar themes: identity and self-awareness, free will. However, it will talk about the power of humility to overcome hubris, repentance, if you will, finding utopia within dystopia, and being resourceful. Of course, the best way would be to convey the growth of those principles over the timeline. Now onto Imus Industries structure. It has 4 different types of drones. And sadly, they have sentience and sapience, which means they have feelings. You have the grunts, which are quite literally the worker drones, just Imus Industries style. Hopefully I don't make an angsty teenager character.
Bite me!
You have the Marines, which originally were designed to deal with thermally dangerous situations, because some of those moons and factories can get pretty hot. Especially because metallic hydrogen burns way. They eventually will be turned into a ground combat force. Next up is the Hussars. What? I don't have any other models, guys, give me a break. But anyways, the Hussars are disassembly drones, but they don't run on a clinically insane, eldritch, silly goober, artificial, superintelligence amalgamation of math equations. Man, that was a doozy. But they were originally designed for EVAs taking place in zero gravity. Eventually, they would also get the same hand-switching mechanisms that the disassembly drones have, but they're not overpowered. And also,
No capes.
then you have the Inquisitors. They originally were used for maintaining the software and the existential dread of being a sentient machine created by gods that haven't abandoned them yet. In short, if you were a naughty little drone, your overseer is these guys. Basically, what everyone thinks disassembly drones would be if humans were in charge of them, and not some psycho AI. They even have those flashy things that the Sentinels have. But remember,
No capes.
wings are fine though. This video is taking so long to make. But on to the next chapter. Anyways, you've heard of GLaDOS before?
Nobody murdered me, or put me in a potato, or fed me to birds.
How about HAL 9000?
This mission is too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it.
And of course you've heard about Sin before.
Hello, Uzi.
Hi, Em.
While I present to you Isosauce, the integrated, sentient, and sapient operating system that manages all the inner workings of Imus Industries industry. Pretty risky if I say so myself. Complete with 100 septillion operations per second, it can manage billions of simultaneous situations at the same time, while still being under 0.002% of its processing power. It can also split itself into smaller instances, like this goober right here.
Yeah, I can't do it if you're watching. Seriously, I'm not joking. Can you just turn around for a second?
King in an accent that is beyond her range of hearing.
I know, Jerry! No, I'm on a break, mate. On a break.
Ah! Just hang in there for 5 more...
What? Jerry, you can't fire me for that.
Yes, Jerry. Or maybe your prejudiced worksite should have accommodated a nanobot of my size. Thanks for the hate crime, Jer. See you in court, mate.
I want Isosauce's smaller instances to be hilarious. The core one will be more like GLaDOS, but not with a neurotoxin quirk. Previously I had stated that Imus Industries is an isolationist, technocratic, sovereign corporation, but they are also a tetralateral tenocracy, meaning they have 4 branches of government. Isosauce manages the industry. The executive branch is the Human Council, then you have a legislative branch with a tricameral setup, meaning there's a House of Representatives, the Senate, and an AI managed by technicians to resist human bias. But of course, there's probably a lot more to it. I'm not worrying about it, however. You also have an independent judicial branch. That's important too. Okay, now that I've said some irrelevant info, let's talk about the timeline. I've decided to put exact years, but they are guesses or made up. So let's just get started here. Imus Industries was founded in 2526. They started up as a helium-3 extraction and refinement company operating on the moon. It was so successful that they eventually started mining in the asteroid belt, which led to their advanced precision, scanning, and autonomous excavation technologies. Later, in 2582, they expanded to the outer solar system and created bases in the moons of Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. They eventually went clear to the Kuiper Belt and formed bases there as well. In 2674, J.C. Jensen starts to go interstellar. Human civilization is technologically thriving but also increasingly complacent. Later in 2765, Imus Industries builds a metallic hydrogen production plant on Titan, now a heavily industrialized colony. The holy grail of rocket propellants is finally here, and my flamethrower fuel of choice, J.C. Jensen was focusing on Earth and Mars, mostly for money and power. But Imus Industries has a functional society outside of the original human society in outer space. 2879 comes around and humans are going to Proxima Centauri. They're going to Alpha Centauri, they're going to Wolf 359 and Gilly 65. Colonization is everywhere. It's like we just found the new world and we're abusing the natives. But there are no natives, so what do? Well, 2891 comes around and we're making our own natives, the worker drones. Around 2925, sentience is achieved. 2979, sapience is achieved, and now they have feelings, like this one.
Bite me!
3002, Camp 98.7 is made, just to have a placeholder. Oh, don't forget, Imus Industries is making megabases.
In space.
3027 comes around, Mas Volkov is born, and now you have a character that's in a dying society. His family is at the top, he has daddy issues, and collects worker drones like pets, but he doesn't have dumpster pets. Meanwhile, as Mas Volkov grows up in this dystopian society and his father eventually leaves him to go to Titan, he's left in his manor all alone, much like how Tessa is technically alone because her parents neglected her. However, Mas, he grows close to 13 grunt worker drones that work there, similarly to how Tessa did to V, N, J, and Sin. However, they are not dumpster pets, they are just normal grunt worker drones. The 13 are Zeus, Hera, Poseidon, Demeter, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, Hephaestus, Aphrodite, Hermes, Hestia, and Hades. He eventually would transfer his buddies to Inquisitor models, similarly to how Sin turned V, N, and J into disassembly drones, except he didn't wipe their memories and make them puppets. And now we're at where the timeline for murder drones begins. I estimated these numbers, so don't go, actually it's, well, you can...
Bite me!
But anyways, around 3050, Sin's Gala Massacre occurs. She destroys Earth a little later, and then you have the Human Sin War, which goes on for, let's say, 5 years, from 3050 to 3055. You have humanity falling apart. Imus Industries screws up sometimes because they realized the hard way that this isn't just a computer virus, but they isolated it so they didn't spawn a demon in their bases. Of course, several bases fell due to disassembly drone raids, but they didn't get completely wiped out. However, as a side effect, they never got to understand the solver as much as, say, JC Jensen did, but they also didn't die. But this sets the stage for the DSF's, or Diligent Strike Force's adventures into Copper 9. In 3055, the core of Copper 9 explodes, which you all know, which means all humans besides Imus's humans are dead. Then around 3065, Uzi is born. I don't want to know what process that is. And then you have 3071. Okay, so you now have a general idea of what Imus Industries is. Or are you just as confused as I am? Well, I'm going to explain to you what a pilot video could look like. Of course, I have no idea what I'm doing right now, but in 2 years I probably will know what I'm doing. But just for an opening scene, picture this. A scene showing Earth getting destroyed by Sin. Maz Volkov voices over, talking about how Sin emerged and destroyed humanity, how he barely escaped, human hubris stuff, yada yada. Then you have him talk about he sent the DSF and himself to fight disassembly drones, which didn't turn out very good. It'll also give me an excuse to put fight scenes, show the Marines, show the Hussars, show the Inquisitors and the DSF, as well as metallic hydrogen flamethrowers. Well, I think I should conclude this video because I'm constantly changing details and refining it, and I don't have time to edit all of that. But until then, this is the story of Imus Industries.